Hello, my name is Tony Beers, and this is Movie Grades.
And just like the movies, we play out our last scene.
Hey everybody, Tony Bears here again, and in this episode of Movie Grades, I'll be doing a follow-up video on our review of Man of Steel, because I felt that I was too generous on the movie, and when we recorded the review, we went for about an hour, and the video cut out, and we kept going even longer, so there was a lot that was cut out, and there are some things that we discussed that was cut out and I wanted to touch on, and as usual, there will be spoilers. Before I begin the review, I would like to give my feelings of the movie leading up to its release. When I heard Christopher Nolan was going to be producer, even though I think he's overrated, I thought, great, I like the Dark Knight trilogy. Then I heard David S. Goyer would be writing, and I thought, alright, even though I don't like all of his work, he is a talented writer. Then I heard Zack Snyder was going to direct, and I thought, great, I like most of his movies. He's done 2 comic book movies, Watchmen and 300, which I love. Sucker Punch is his most hated film, and I thought it was okay. It's not his best, but it's not as bad as some people say. When people criticize Zack Snyder, they always talk about his use of slow-mo. Really? That's your complaint? I never understood this complaint. What's wrong with slow-mo? Anyway, then I saw the teaser trailer. It was okay. It didn't show very much. Then I saw the official trailer. Although the majority of people loved it, I think I was the only one who hated it. It had drab colors, somber music, an emo Clark, and that Paul Kent line, "Should I have let him die?" Maybe. Then I saw the next trailer. It was good. It finally had some action and not so many depressing scenes. Why didn't they start with this one first? So after seeing that third trailer, my hopes were raised a little. Then I saw the movie. Let me just say, if you like the movie, that's cool with me. I'm glad you liked it. I wish I could like it. I wanted to love this. There are even some things that I like about the movie. Let me recap what we liked. The special effects are excellent. The action is amazing. It's some of the best visual action I've ever seen. The actors, while some are wasted, do their job well. And that's about all we liked. Now, onto the bad of the movie. And there is a lot. There are 2 controversial things that happen in this movie. One is Superman kills Zod. Now, I don't have a huge problem with this, but it is a problem for me. The reason it's not a huge problem is because Superman has killed before. But you can count on one hand how many people Superman has killed, and half of those are alternate versions of Superman. And I don't think he is as hard and fast with that I won't kill rule as Batman is. But the problems I have is, one, they never establish that he has this no-kill rule. He certainly never learns this from Paul Kent. Paul Kent clearly has no respect for the lives of others, and I'll get to that later. This is something that would be better handled in a sequel, where it is well known that Superman does not kill. Then a villain comes along and tests him. That way you're on the edge of your seat concerned, will this be the time that he breaks his rule? But since they never established that he has this rule, it doesn't work in this movie. And 2, Superman kills Zod in a very gruesome way. He snaps his neck like a twig. This is something you should never see Superman do. Just the sound of that snap is unsettling. I do give the movie credit though, because after Superman kills Zod, you can easily tell that he is distraught by this. He gives this huge scream, so you know he was disturbed by this. Some may say that Superman killed Zod in Superman 2, and yes, he did. But he did this in a much less violent way. In Superman 2, Superman picks up Zod and he throws him against a wall in the Fortress of Solitude, and Zod falls into oblivion. You never see what happens to his body, and for all we know, he might still be alive. It's not very likely, but there's still a chance. And if you go by the Richard Donner cut, Superman reverses time and Zod and his crew get sucked back into the Phantom Zone. So in the Richard Donner cut, Zod doesn't die. Some will say, well, Superman had no choice. The only reason Superman had no choice is because that's the way the script was written. The script was not written in stone. They could have easily changed the script to where Superman stops Zod in a different way. Superman has been around for 75 years, and other writers have found a way for him to stop other powerful villains without killing them. Why can't David S. Goyer do the same? I guess he's not as talented as these other writers. Clearly, he doesn't understand the character. Remember, he was the one who wrote the story in which Superman gave up his United States citizenship. This clearly proves that he doesn't know how to write for the character. This reminds me of something Joss Whedon said on the Avengers commentary. There's a scene in which Black Widow warns Captain America that Thor and Loki are basically gods. Captain America says, "There's only one God, ma'am, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that." And Joss Whedon says, "I may be an atheist, but Captain America isn't." This proves that Joss Whedon writes for the character, not himself. Whereas David S. Goyer writes the character to suit himself, he doesn't write to suit the character. I give Christopher Nolan credit because I might be wrong, but I read that he fought to take the Zod death scene out. This movie failed for me because their target audience was a group of people who hate a light, good for the sake of good Superman, and they want Superman to be extremely dark and joyless Batman clone. This is a Superman movie for people who hate Superman. This is a Superman movie for people who can't relate to Superman because he's too good, he has no flaws, and he's so perfect. So the filmmakers brought Superman down to those people's level by making his backstory more tragic than it really is. Clark was not bullied as a child. The modern age Pa Kent didn't die. Yeah, his biological parents died, but Clark didn't find that out until his teens. And when he found this out, it wasn't that tragic for him because he didn't know his biological parents. They didn't raise him. The Kents raised him, and in the comics they were great parents who taught him good values and morality. Superman had a great childhood, unlike the one this movie wants you to believe. The Superman character shouldn't be lowered to those people's standards just for their approval. Superman should inspire the audience to raise themselves up to his standards. The audience should aspire to be more like Superman, not want Superman to be more like them. If you want a more relatable, more flawed, more gray character, okay, I understand that. But go to Spider-Man, Wolverine, or Iron Man for that. Don't try to change the character just because you don't like him because you can't relate to him. Superman is supposed to be the big blue Boy Scout. He is the White Knight. Deal with it. The second most controversial thing about this movie is that there is a ton of destruction in this movie, particularly the last fight scene with Zod. In this scene, Superman never attempts to save people in the falling buildings during the fight. Someone told me that the filmmakers filmed it this way to make it more exciting. And I think this would be even more exciting if Superman had to save people during this fight. We would be on the edge of our seats hoping that Superman caught these people who were falling out of the building in time. On top of this, they never show the aftermath of the destruction. They never show Metropolis being rebuilt. They never showed Superman helping to fix the destruction, which he is partially to blame. This was handled so much better in Superman 2. Superman clearly cared for the people in that movie. During the climactic battle, Superman always finds a way to save people from Zod's attacks. And when he realizes that Zod's not going to leave the people alone, he moves the fight to the Fortress of Solitude, where there is no people. Superman also realizes that he can't defeat them physically because he is one and they are three, so he uses his mind to trick them. And at the end of the film, they show Superman helping to fix what Zod had destroyed. And again, if you watch the Richard Donner cut, Superman turns time back and any destruction Zod has done is undone. One thing that I wanted to touch on that was cut off when we recorded was the music. Music is very important to a movie. The music in this movie was not bad, but it didn't fit with a Superman movie. It didn't have the upbeat feeling the music in a Superman movie should have. No, it doesn't have to be the John Williams score, but it should be something similar. The music brought the mood down for me. The action scenes were visually exciting, but were emotionally boring, partially because of the low energy of the music. And the sad thing is that the score was done by Hans Zimmer, who has done great scores before. He did that exciting Batman score, that dun 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 dun. You know that music. And this score was not exciting at all. And that's the worst thing about this movie. This film was done by several people who have done great movies before that I have loved, and then they come out with this terrible movie. Okay, I know I've said this in the other video, but I'm so bothered by it. I think it's worth mentioning again for anyone who hasn't seen our other videos. And the thing is that I hate the portrayal of Pa Kent in this movie. Pa Kent is a paranoid, overprotective idiot in this movie. In the comics, the reason Superman becomes a hero instead of a villain, the reason he is the man he is because he had great adoptive parents who taught him his values and morality. And they ruin this in this movie. What does Pa Kent teach Clark in this movie? Pa Kent has about 3 short scenes in this movie, and in every scene he lectures Clark about how he has to keep his powers a secret. He never teaches Clark things like he should never kill people. This explains why he kills Zod. Clark asks Paul if he should have let people die, and Paul says, maybe. So basically, Pa Kent thinks Clark's secret is more important than other people's lives. Some people say, well, he didn't say yes, he said maybe. Pa Kent should not be so indecisive about something so serious. The only acceptable answer for Pa Kent is no. And then there's the Pa Kent death scene. First, why did they feel the need to kill him off in the first place? In the modern age comics, Pa Kent didn't die. For some reason, every single Superman film, Pa Kent has to die. At least his death in the Richard Donner film had a purpose. It showed that with all his powers, Superman can't save people from having a heart attack or other medical conditions like cancer. But what was the point of Pa Kent's death in this movie? Also, Clark could have easily saved him, but Pa Kent told him not to because he didn't want Clark to expose his powers. This doesn't make any sense because 1, Clark has already exposed his powers when saving the kids on the bus. 2, Clark could have used his powers without anybody seeing. For 75 years in the comics, in some stories, Superman has used his powers many times without people seeing. In Smallville, he used his powers many times without people seeing. Why can't they do it here? 3, every time they show Pa Kent, he tells Clark to not use his powers because he felt that it wasn't time for him to use his powers. How does Pa Kent know when it's the right time to use his powers? I understand that Pa Kent wants to protect his son, but in this scene, Clark is supposed to be in his late teens, early 20s. He's an adult. How long is Pa Kent going to keep him from using his powers? How many people could Clark have saved but didn't because Pa Kent told him not to? Okay, Pa Kent wants to protect his son, but protect him from what? Say the government did take Clark away. He's invulnerable. What could they have possibly done to him? How could they even keep him prisoner? Remember, kryptonite is yet to be introduced in this cinematic universe. Plus, they even show later on in the interrogation scene that they couldn't have done anything to him. So Pa Kent's fears were totally unfounded. Lastly, after Pa Kent's death, Clark exposes his powers several times in his travels anyway. An example of this is on the oil rig, where several people see him using his powers. So Clark disobeyed his father's dying wish, thus making Pa Kent's death and even his entire character in this movie totally pointless. Well, it looks like there's going to be yet another part of this review because I just can't shut up about this movie. I'll see you in part 2, and hopefully that will be the last part.